to At the Office, Cleveland's home for sports talk that never clocks out. From the latest headlines to heated debates, we're diving into everything sports. It's your hosts, Noah, John, and Eric.
Merry Christmas, Cleveland. Welcome into The Office, the show where we talk all things sports. I'm your host, Noah, joined by my sole co-host for the week, John. John, how you doing, man? You're muted right now, John. You're muted right now.
Oh, man. Talk about old man issues. Maybe I can turn my flashlight on my phone and shine it in your face, too. I'm doing good, man. It's Christmas. Family, basketball on all day. Looking forward to chatting with you for a few about some Christmas items, but I'm doing well, my brother.
Yeah, we are completely in the holiday spirit. More me than John. But listen, you can join us here at the office as well. Leave us a comment on YouTube, Facebook, X, wherever you're watching. If you're watching the live, if you're not watching the live, still leave us a comment. We'll get back to you as soon as we pick up our phone. It is the holiday after all. Also, text the show 216-260-3433. That's 216-260-3433. As I said on Monday, new phone number. Maybe that's a hint at something. You'll see soon enough. John, it's the holidays. We got a nice festive background going on. I'm in a hat. You don't look as festive as me, so I'm questioning your commitment to the bit.
Hey, I don't want to put on my Christmas pajamas that we wear on Christmas morning with the family. I kept the sports theme, but man, props. I like the sweater.
Thank you, man. This was a 2021 or 2022 Miller Lite website exclusive I got on eBay for not one, not two, not three, not four, but $15.
It's a good price.
It's a fantastic price. I've worn it a lot. I've worn it for the girlfriend's Christmas party. I've worn it at the actual office now. I'm going to be wearing it later today. I'm going to be wearing it this weekend. This is the official outfit of the Noah Olsen Christmas, goddammit.
I feel like it's an oxymoron, though. Like, people call them ugly sweater parties or ugly Christmas sweaters. But if you like it and it's just like loud or a bit eccentric, like I came from an era where wearing Coogee sweaters was normal for people. So like the whole ugly sweater thing, I'm like, okay, pause. It might be a little bit outlandish to have on a Miller Lite sweater that has like lights all over it, but it's not ugly. It's blue and white sweater with some stripes on it.
It's lights, and the lights are hops at that. That's the most important part of what you're saying right now.
Heck
Listen,
yeah.
We could talk about my beautiful sweater for days upon days upon days, but we got some Christmas lists to get into. We are in the spirit. What is your Christmas wish list for Cleveland sports in 2025? John, I'm going to let you start. What is your number 5?
Yeah, you hit me. You said, what are the top 5? The fifth thing that I want, and these aren't necessarily in chronological or preferential order, is to beat Eric in this one-shot challenge from half court. He beat me on the Penn State-Oregon game bet. He beat me on the Ohio State-Tennessee bet. I didn't get him locked in on SMU-Penn State, so I owe this guy like a whole-ass lunch, and I'm just looking forward to draining a half-court shot in one of the 40 or 50 shots that I get. To taking some of his money and reimbursing myself for the lunch that I'm going to have to pay him. So number 5 for me would be to make that shot sooner than later so I can get my cash back in my pocket.
Yeah, for sure. That is hilarious. I don't think you're going to win that. I think we're going to be sitting there for a while. That is something early on the 2025 checklist in terms of things that we need to do together as an office conglomerate. My number 5 is super simple, super easy. I want the Guardians to go get another starting pitcher, and for the Dolans not to be cheap. This fits perfectly with what we were talking about on the Monday show about what the hell are the Guardians doing. Let's go get another starting pitcher. Let's shore this up a little bit more. We could be upset about Josh. We can be upset about Himmy. Let's get another starting pitcher. Let's spend some of that money that we have freed up.
I like it. I will say, I'm a words guy. I think you got to be more specific, because if he said, hey, we got to go get another starting pitcher, and then they go, oh, cool, We just traded Jose Ramirez, and we got a guy who's 19 years old, whose ERA is 11. You'd be like, that's not what I meant. We want to add a starting pitcher without
Add a starting pitcher in free agency.
Yes.
There is your answer. Okay, there you go. My bad, Mr. Wordsmith himself.
I just wanted to throw it out there that technically they added 2 starting pitchers with the moves they made. It just wasn't how I wanted to go about it.
Yeah, okay. Go on to your number 4, my man.
All right, number 4 for me. Now we're getting into some stuff that's a little bit more serious. It's a trip to the Eastern Conference Finals for your Cleveland Cavaliers. We had the argument as to whether it's championship or bust if you're in pro sports, and I argued against it, but the Cavs are getting to the point where it is for them. I think they have another year of grace. I think there's some other teams that are really competitive. I think Milwaukee's going to have something to say before it's said and done. Boston's already out there looming, and whoever comes out of the Western Conference. But for these Cavaliers team to show that it's not the same old stuff we've been watching for 3 years, which was pretty good, just not quite as good as we thought it could be. You make a move to keep Mitchell. You got the big 4 in place to show that you belong and you're moving in the right direction. That this isn't just a team that's built for the regular season. I want to see the Cavs make some real noise in the Eastern Conference. Obviously, they could overachieve and win the whole damn thing. I'm not saying I don't want that, but I want them to take that next step, make it Eastern Conference Finals, and put the rest of the league on notice that this is a team to watch for the next 5 years.
Yeah, I agree with you. You'll see how much I agree with you a little bit later on in my list. So I'll table any of my responses until we get to that point. But my next 3 picks all follow a theme with a team we unfortunately all know and love, the Cleveland Browns. So my pick number 4 on my wish list, is for the Cleveland Browns to keep Myles Garrett happy, have him involved in every conversation we can. You know, that news did come out later last week, about him, basically saying he's going to hold the front office accountable and he wants to know what the direction is of this team so he can better prepare himself for his future, because he doesn't want to play rebuilding football. He wants to play meaningful games in January. So I want them to do everything and then some they can to keep Myles Garrett happy, because it is a 1 in a billion shot. I'm exaggerating right now, John, just so you know. It is a 1 in a billion shot to get a talent of the level of Myles Garrett. You don't just come across those guys very often in the draft or have the position to take a guy like Myles Garrett in the draft. So you got to do what you got to do to keep the man happy.
Yeah, I like it. It's not, I know it's not really 1 in a billion, but it's 1 in a lifetime. You're right. He's a generational talent, or of that echelon. You got your Watts, you got your Lawrence Taylors. You think about defensive ends and linebackers, Ray Lewis, who make an impact like this on the game. He's few and far between. You're going to hear some of mine worked in there too a little bit later on, because for Myles Garrett to be happy, they got to compete. And if I get some of the other wishes on my list, they'll be there. But I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. But
go ahead with your number 3 in the meantime, man.
Number 3 in the meantime is an echo of our whole last podcast, which is a new owner for the Cleveland Guardians. I'm sick of the cheapness. I'm sick of the stupidity. I'm sick of the arguing. I'm sick of the being let down every 3 years. I'm sick of rooting for a team with an owner who doesn't give a shit about the fans. I just want somebody. You're not going to spend money like the Mets. This isn't New York City, and we don't have the market for it. I understand the economics of baseball, but you can outspend the Pittsburgh Pirates and Cincinnati Reds on a regular basis. You have a competing team. You have a loyal fan base, and if you can't afford it, get the hell out. Dan Gilbert, if you're listening, add to the portfolio. Buy our baseball team.
They're right next door, man. They're right next door. Why not?
There. Jimmy and D, if you're listening, you'd be much better baseball owners than this guy. They're a joke.
Yeah, at least the Haslams will spend money, granted, on Deshaun Watson, but they will at least spend it, right?
Yeah, I used to make the argument. It's changed because I love Dan Gilbert with the Cavs, but I was like, we should shift the owners back when it was the Learners, and then even moving into now for the Browns, where I'm like, move them over to the Cavs, move Dan Gilbert to baseball, move the baseball owners to the NFL, where the owner can just disappear and there's a salary cap and a salary floor, and everybody would be happy. I don't want Dan Gilbert out of the Cavs ownership, but I would love it if he bought the baseball team.
Yeah, I agree with you. I would love for some new owners over there in Progressive Field, but we'll get into my next one in a second, actually. John, I'm going to take us to commercial break. When we come back, we're going to continue our list talk a little bit more Cleveland sports, and enjoy each other's company here on this fine Christmas day. We will be right back with At the Office. And we are back at the office talking all things sports, really focusing on Cleveland sports for this episode. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you are watching, download button if you're listening, drop us a comment whether you're watching the live show or not. And, check out our merch store, John, if you want to hold up your beautiful mug. I'll hold up my nice sticker. Check us out at theofficecle.com. That's at ATTHE officecle.com. Shout out Fans First Sports Network for supporting everything that we do here. John, I want to get back into it with my list, though, because I haven't got to say my number three.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Number 3, the Browns to add offensive line talent. As the resident offensive lineman, I want to see some more offensive line talent in this system. I think we need it. I think we need it desperately. I think it'll help a lot of the situations we have going on in terms of quarterback. Yes, I know we need to address quarterback, but some offensive line talent would be absolutely fantastic to protect that new quarterback.
I don't hate it. Our offensive line went from the kings of the NFL up front to not even be able to hold their own in the division. I think it's a testament to how good an offensive line coach, damn it, I'm blanking on his name, that just left to coach with his son.
Callahan, right?
Yeah. He was just, like I said, one of the best of all time, and he was getting a whole lot out of guys who weren't apparently all that talented. But I love this one, man. I wouldn't put it above some other needs on this team that we'll talk about in a minute, but nobody would bitch about having a better offensive line next year.
Yeah, that's fair. John, you want to get into your number 2, my man?
All right. Number 2. You heard me say it before. Either Ohio State loses to Tennessee or Ohio State wins the whole damn thing. I think a national championship for Ohio State would be on my wish list, and I think this is the one on my list that I have the best chance of getting. Oregon's a big game. Can't wait till New Year's Day. Maybe we'll get together to watch it. No, we'll see how the schedules play out. But regardless,
how the schedules match up. Yep. Vlog potentially coming soon.
I would make the argument that this is the national championship because I definitely would say that the winner of this game is going to go on and run the table. All due respect to Texas and Penn State and some of the other teams out there, but Buckeyes, man, it's been a while. For all the rabidness of the fan base and how bad we live and die with this team, and coming back from the Michigan debacle to beat Tennessee soundly. Long overdue, brother. You got to beat Michigan, you got to win the Big Ten, and you got to win the national championships. And the first 2 we didn't have a shot at this year. So I'd love for the Buckeyes to bring another trophy to Columbus.
Yeah, I'm with you. I was ecstatic with the outcome of the Tennessee game. 1 for my rankings, 2 because you were wrong, and 3 because I'm an Ohio State fan. So I'm very much with you for the OH national championship. I didn't have anything Buckeyes related on my list. I kept it Browns, Guardians, Cavs, as I often do with this, but I totally respect your opinion and I totally agree with it. We'll put that at number 6, I guess, because I can't really slot it in now in terms of my own. Number 2, which I know is going to spoil a little bit, so we can kind of flip back and forth here. Number 2 is for the Browns to answer the damn question mark at quarterback. I don't know what the answer is. I predict Kirk Cousins as their short-term answer for the 2025 season, but I want to see them answer the question mark at quarterback. John, what's your number 1? Because I already know what it is.
For a good quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Yeah, I'm with you 100%. It could be Darnold. It could be Cousins. It could be a draft pick that we develop while we have somebody else. But if the Browns come back to me next season and say, well, we're starting Deshaun Watson and Jameis is the backup, that's it. The window is closed. You might as well trade Myles Garrett and do all the other stuff we've been talking about and start getting ready to compete in 2029 or 2030. Because the guys are getting old, the guys are getting beat up, the guys are getting frustrated. We need a quarterback. And the more I think about it, I always talk to my dad about the Browns during the week. And he's like, he's like, well, I'd take an offensive tackle and a guard, and you got Myles Garrett, and you need a linebacker. And I'm like, yes, you want to protect a quarterback, but the more I think about it and the longer I watch football, if you don't have a good quarterback, that's it. He doesn't have to be great. He's got to be serviceable. It could be Joe Flacco's 41-year-old ass. It just needs somebody who's competent and consistent and can play the position at a decent level. And then you got to play defense, get a little lucky, and hope you put some pieces around him. I don't want us to get I'd love for us to get the next Tom Brady, but that's not what I'm saying here. I'm saying like PJ, Joe Flacco type of confidence, like somewhere in that range, we could just go, yeah, this guy can win you 10 games. Then you catch lightning in a bottle and play well at the end of the year. So number one for me is a quarterback, so we don't have to watch the Browns win 3 games again next year.
Yeah, number 2 for me is the quarterback, because my number 1 is a lofty one, but I want to echo what you're saying a little bit real quick and add the fact that right now the Cleveland Browns are sitting at the 5th or 4th overall pick, depending on when you're watching this, in the NFL draft. They can continue to climb that ladder. And then you're starting to talk about having the potential and the opportunity, because you're in front of teams that are quarterback needy, like the Giants, like the Raiders, who are the 2 main teams that you're kind of looking at right now if you're looking at quarterback. And that's the position you want to take. You might be ahead of them with how poor this season is going and how it really does not feel like they're going to win another game this season. You could end up with one of Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. Now, I'm not the one saying that either of them are going to be the answer for this Cleveland Browns team. I'm just saying that if this front office thinks they could be, there is a chance that they pull the trigger on either one of them, and we'll have to see how that plays out. I've been more of a Cam Ward than a Shedeur guy, but I think both are actually pretty solid quarterback prospects. So I'm very interested for the NFL draft, which feels hurtful to say because I've been very interested for a very long time in the NFL draft when it comes to my Cleveland Brownies.
Yeah, I'm wondering, curious what your stance is. I think we just do, when people say, do you want to go in the draft or do you want to get a proven vet? And I go, why would you pick when the answer to all of the above is better? I don't know if they can figure it out with the cap and with Watson and what we got going on, but if you could get Kirk Cousins and draft Cam Ward, do that. You need a quarterback.
Kirk Cousins' money too, just because he's going to get cut basically and still get his salary from Atlanta anyway. He just won't be on the roster. He'll do what Russell Wilson's doing in Pittsburgh right now and be signed to a vet minimum where it doesn't really affect our cap. And, you know, the Deshaun contract's still going to be there, but it's not, we're going to have Kirk Cousins if we were to go get a guy like Kirk Cousins and then a rookie. Yes, I'm with you 100%. I still feel like it's probably either or, more so, you know, getting a guy in free agency and not taking a top pick on a quarterback this year. I think they'd rather wait. I personally would almost rather wait. And, you know, when we have like Arch Manning coming in and some of these other bigger name quarterback prospects, but I digress for another episode.
Yeah. It's, there's also, my dad's bringing it up. Nobody's going to take a straight up trade for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
But if the Browns say they're going to eat most of that salary and figure out a way to make him whole financially, but get him off the roster, maybe avoid some of the future issues or penalties or just being in the locker room when you're trying to go in another direction. I do think a team like, and I got to think this through, but a team like the Raiders or a team like planning for post to a Miami Dolphins team, knowing you need a backup, could say, we'd take a guy like that and pay him $3 million, $4 million a year of what you guys said. You're on the hook for the other $24 million or whatever the hell it is. But they could also move him to make room in the quarterback room too. But no, I'm with you, bro. We're not going to compete if we don't have a quarterback. So we got to get that question answered. If we don't do it this year, we might have pissed away one of the better opportunities we had to make a run at a championship.
Amen to that, man. Listen, we talk Browns a lot on this channel. We will continue to talk Browns in 2025, but there's a team that is much more important, in my opinion, right now in terms of talking championship. Number 1 on my list is for the Cleveland Cavaliers to win the 2025 NBA championship. Listen, this is a wish list. This isn't me making a prediction, but I'm allowed to wish. Realistically, I feel like it's realistic for this team to win a championship in the near future. I think they are playing phenomenal basketball. And if you think otherwise, you are just wrong at this point. We have seen them play a lot of great basketball. Number one on my wish list is to have a beautiful hat like what John's wearing right now, but instead of it saying 2016, it says 2025, and Donovan Mitchell raising that finals MVP.
I love this one. The Cavs, we talk about where teams rank, and the Browns are first for pretty much everybody. Eric says sometimes the Buckeyes, but I would love the Cavs to make a run and win a title this year. And this feels like we're really close. I was just looking at the odds not that long ago. The Cavs are like the fourth most likely team in the NBA to win. Celtics, Thunder, that's really it. I mean, when you think about teams where like, hey, if the Cavs draw them, you're thinking to yourself, okay, realistically, even though we know the Cavs have a shot, we're up against a team that's better. Like, there's not a ton of teams out there where you just go flat out, the Cavs can't beat them.
Right.
Maybe none. My daughter asked me a few days ago, can the Cavs win? And I was like, yeah, they're the number one team in the league. She's like, no, like win, like we did when we had the parade. And I was like, I have not been able to honestly say this to you since that day, but yes, as of right now, Cleveland Cavaliers absolutely can win a championship. So this is probably the most likely on either of our lists outside of the Buckeyes.
Well, you have the Eastern Conference Finals, so I think that's more likely than this just because it's an easier feat than winning the whole damn thing.
Fair.
But I think this team is suited, could be there already. I mean, they have the best record in the MLB, the best record in the NBA, and they haven't stopped. They are still blowing out good teams, regardless if the other team's resting a starter or playing all of their starter, whatever the situation is. We are still beating good teams consistently by 20, 30 points. Yeah. I mean, I know this isn't going to be the same suitable answer come playoff times, and the games are going to be a lot closer come playoff time. But why can't they? They pass the eye test in terms of any facet that you could possibly count them against. They have beaten good teams like Boston now. They have won games where they've looked sloppy against bad teams. They have done it all. To me, I think it's possible, and I hope it happens. Obviously, I'm a huge Cavs fan. I'm a Cavs employee. Give me a ring, 2025.
I love it. I think they've done everything you could think of except beat Atlanta. And the only reason I say that, I'm not throwing shade. I think Atlanta stinks, and the Cavs just had a bad couple games. But there was a year when I was younger where the Steve Nash-led Dallas Mavericks looked unbeatable, and like they were everybody's pick to probably win the finals. But for whatever reason, the Baron Davis Golden State Warriors beat them every time they played. And sure enough, the 1-8 matchup was Golden State versus Dallas, and I think Golden State won in like 4 games. And I was like, oh my God. At the time, it was like best of 5.
Crazy, right? Yeah. It was absolutely insane. Not that I remember that or I was there for that in terms of having the sports knowledge that I do now, but yes, it is a crazy moment in sports history. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But if somebody said to you, out of all the teams in the Eastern Conference, who do you think presents the biggest challenge to the Cavs? The Atlanta Hawks would be a lot higher on my list than some other teams that are better.
It's like Atlanta and Boston, which is hilarious because Atlanta is going to end up being a 7 seed play-in type of team at best, it seems. But I digress, man.
Atlanta and I say Atlanta and Orlando would be higher on the list than their ranking should make them. But 100%. I think we still beat them. But yeah, man, let's go spend time with our families. I know it's Christmas. You're trying to get out of here. So am I.
Hey, let's go enjoy the rest of our holidays. Thank you for taking a slice of your holiday and spending it with us here at the office. John, anything else you got to say to the people?
No, sir. Merry Christmas. We'll catch you guys in the new year.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for joining us at the office. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the download button, all that good stuff. Make sure you check us out on all socials. You can see it above my head at the office CLE. I almost just knocked over David Njoku. Apparently, the Christmas sales are already hitting me, even though I haven't sipped one yet. Regardless, Merry Christmas from the At the Office family to yours. Cleveland, have a great day and an even better night.